we go. Welcome, everybody. Episode number 65 of Hobby Hotline. My name is Jeremy Lee. I am joined by the DH, Drew Herndon, and we have Chris Stalegum with us. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine Sunday morning? Drew, what's going on?
I'm doing good, man. Just hanging out. About to go do some baseball a little bit later with the little one.
All right, right on.
Coach
and
pitch.
You're cutting out early, so that's why I'm actually going to host the show for the first time. Happy to do it. Honored to do it, guys. This is great. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing just fine. And later tonight, I'll be attending my first Philadelphia Union home match since last year's playoff debacle. So kind of excited for that. They had a big win in the Champions League against Atlanta this week. So I'm doing fine. Let's get ready to talk cards. And I have a feeling that this week we're going to need some help from our viewers in the terms of calling in. So we're kind of running dry on topics to talk about. So
we'll fill in the time. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do that.
I think we can kill an hour, but we can use some help.
Well, good luck to your team tonight. Hope you enjoyed your evening there. All right. Well, we do have Brad in the crowd, of course. He's out garage sailing this morning. Cardboard Max is with us. Good morning, guys. Great to see you. So the first topic we were going to talk about was basically just filling everybody in on and the action around the card shows this month here in May. We've got a bunch of things going on. We got a couple card shows happening at various locations in the country at the same time. So, Drew, which card shows are you attending this month here in May?
Well, the Dallas show, which a lot of us at Hobby Hotline will be at. I'll be going to that one, and I wish I could have gone this weekend because the guy that I work with here, he's attending 3 different ones in 3 different states this weekend. So that kind of tells you how busy it is. And that's not even going to the Miami show, which is one of the bigger shows. So I mean, there are so many shows starting back up. I love seeing it. The North Carolina schedule is getting filled back up, but just even outside, I mean, 3 shows within 5 hours for a drive, all weekend. That's what he did all weekend. It's great. I love it.
Chris, you mentioned you're going to the Chantilly show. What are you looking forward to?
I think you and I, Jeremy, we're like the only 2 members of the Hobby Hotline crew that aren't going to that big show in Texas. But that same weekend, there is the Chantilly show is running again. It's actually delayed from last month, but I will be there that Saturday. And maybe if I get a ticket for the morning session, I might call in to, and maybe we might have 2 from 2 card shows. So,
there you go. There you go.
Chantilly is one of the better card shows on the East Coast.
Yep.
If you're within driving distance from Washington, D.C., or if you can get a cheap flight into Dulles Airport, and you're jonesing for the big card show experience, come on down and you're not going. And if you're not going to the Dallas show, come on down to Chantilly. You'll have a great time.
No, Chantilly's great. That's relatively close for me. Not too far at all of a drive. I've been there a couple of times. It's a wonderful show. I planned on going last month. That's why, Dallas was booked this month. Then they moved it to the same week. And, is what it is. You got to make decisions. But
and then we've got that new show, the Wisconsin Dells show. I see a lot of people talking about that. And the promoter of that, Grant Slayton, I believe, he's been posting on Instagram whenever a new vendor signs up. He's kind of saying, hey, this person's going to be setting up, that person's setting up. So creating a lot of hype, which I think is great. And another show that I'd love to be able to attend, but seeing as I'm up in Canada, I go down there, I come back home, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So can't afford to do that. So unfortunately, I'm alienated from all the show activity down in the US, but I'm envious of you guys and hope you all enjoy it and that they're all very successful. I'm sure they will be.
Yeah, I would assume that most are going to be. I know a lot of people have been dying to get out. I know I deal with a lot of the people that set up at least at a lot of the shows in North Carolina, and even a lot of people that were hesitant to go a while back are starting to set back up, starting to get back into their normal routine. So it's awesome. Yakov asking about San Jose or San Fran. I know they do have some, Yakov. I'm just not familiar with exactly when they are to a T. I know that the guys over at Wax Pack are putting something out that you'll be able to find all the card shows around the country here really soon. But I'm not familiar with exactly that area that well, but I know there are some. But yeah, as Jason says, Jacksonville has a big one. I mean, there's a ton of them. It's awesome.
Yeah, one resource that I like to use is Beckett.com. They have a list of card shows that's pretty well updated every week. So
I think it's just nice with all the card shows coming back and everything. That you get that whole hobby community back together. Like in a couple of weeks, I mean, I've met a lot of the people that in this through the national and everything, but I haven't met everyone that's done Hobby Hotline, so in person yet. So I mean, none of us have met in person. Unfortunately, y'all won't be at the Dallas show, but it's just nice to be able to go to those shows because, I mean, let's face it, no matter what, I mean, I'm meeting people from my hometown now, and I live in a very small town in groups from cards and people that I didn't even know in this really tiny town that I live in. So, it's just good for the community, I think, to finally get some stuff out. You start to see a lot more. I'm seeing a lot more trading happening right now. And I think that has a lot to do also with card shows. I'm seeing a lot of people with their coming home from card shows with their trade hauls. So I think that maybe one area when a lot of money was flowing into the hobby and everything that kind of was put on the back burner with a lot of people was just a good old fashioned trade.
Yeah.
But
you mentioned community just now.
Yeah.
So, and I know we were chatting about a few topics, and I just wanted to mention, there's lots of platforms out there. We've obviously got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the content out there. The Clubhouse app has really started to take off. I'm on there quite a bit, talking hobby with various hobbyists. It's been great for networking and really expanding the reach and making more hobby friends and contacts. It's been pretty awesome. But then there's also these new platforms, newish platforms for breaking and selling cards. We've got Loop the app, we've got Whatnot. In terms of group breaking and where it's happening, it seems to be very popular on Facebook, Instagram, even some YouTube channels. What do you see happening, Drew, in terms of that activity moving, starting to move off of those platforms and onto these new ones that are really specific to card sales and breaking? Well,
I actually just interviewed Eric Doty. He'll be on the next episode of Let Me Get That Potograph that comes out this week. He's the CEO of Loop, one of those apps. And I've looked into a lot of them and I love them. I think they're great. I think they're wonderful. And it's something that I always thought would be awesome to do and thought would be awesome to be able to have, but I never thought it would catch on until this hobby explosion. I think now was the perfect time for these to come out. I think before it would be hard to sway people because you're really moving from, let's face it, the basic style of breaking is restream OBS and then putting out on YouTube, Facebook, multiple platforms at once and implementing those into groups, everything like that. And now you're taking it and moving it to a specific platform. So it's going to be very interesting in terms of group activity on Facebook to YouTube streams. I mean, there's a lot of I've watched on Whatnot. I downloaded the app a couple weeks ago and I haven't bought anything on there, but I watch a lot of the live feeds just to see if money's moving and it's flying. I mean, it is legitimate. I mean, you go on there at nighttime and it's just one break after another, just filling.
It's awesome. And I also had Eric Doty from Loop on my show, and I really enjoyed it having him. He's a real innovator, if you will. Yeah. He's the goal for him was to make, and I loved how he put it because he comes from the video game industry, and he said that he wants every time you touch a button, every time you interact with your device, it should be fun. Just like, that's a video game mantra, I guess. Every button you push should be fun. I wasn't aware of that. And I thought that was a really cool way to drive the user experience on the app. So I'm excited about that. And you know, there are a couple of players in the space that we just mentioned, and similar to the way on this show, we can push out this show today to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitch, to Twitter, wherever we want, really. I wonder if eventually you'll be able to push out your group break or your sales show to more than one of these sort of apps, like maybe to two at the same time. But they do integrate payment, so that might be difficult, I suppose. Chris, you wanted to show the Beckett calendar?
We had a question in the chat from a guy named Yakov, and he wanted to know where on Beckett.com the show scheduled list is. So if you can show this,
there we go.
It's right here. It's Beckett.com/venue_manager. And if you scroll down, you can then filter by state, start date, and it will give you a list of card shows by date in your area.
Cool.
So definitely check it out, Yakov, because there's a lot that are going on right now. I mean, there's a ton going on throughout the entire country. So I would definitely check it out. You'll be able to find
and
one.
It's pretty well updated too.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Just about every show promoter sends their shows into Beckett. So
yeah, and they've been doing that for even that's been going on for years and years. I want to bring up here's a comment I want to speak to and get your guys' opinion from Jason. He says, I like smaller shows. I think you get better deals. And what I think of is that some of these bigger shows, you know, the Dallas one that I've seen a lot of content on YouTube and Instagram. I wonder if at these shows, is a lot of it people, and I haven't been, so I'm asking the question, is a lot of it people kind of just displaying their super high end or the collections they're very proud of? What percentage of booths at these new bigger shows are actual showcases of like, you know, just sharing their collections versus what percent are really there to sell cards? Do you have a feel for that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with, at smaller shows, you can definitely find some better deals, I think. And please, guys, remember to call in and join the show. I just put the link in the chat. If you guys got any questions or comments, please call in. We'd love to have you on. But, you know, I don't know. At the big shows, there's definitely tons of money flying. I mean, there's sales going on like crazy. There are deals to be found at every show, I think. The bigger shows, I've always found at the bigger shows I go to, the last day, Sunday is normally the best time to find the deals. When people are closing up, there's normally stuff they either don't want to bring home. There's stuff they went there to get rid of. You can find a lot better deals on those later days. But yeah, some of the small shows, they just don't get the traffic. And so people want to have, they need their sales, you know, they need to make something. And so a lot of times you will get better deals because you'll see people say, well, yeah, you know, they'll bite the bullet, take a little less because, you know, they need to make some money. But I mean, at the big shows, you definitely see some massive cards, but you can see those at the small shows too. I mean, my buddy Mark sets up, and I mean, at any small show you can find, and he's got, you know, ridiculous cards that are out there, but then he's also got dollar boxes, and you'll find tons of people that go there solely with those dollar boxes and 50-cent boxes and set up hundreds of tables of those, you know. I mean,
I wonder if, you know, you mentioned that Sunday's the best day for deals, and I agree. It's traditionally, that's always been the best day for deals. However, with just the rise of the hobby, you know, if you want to get a card, if there's a card you're looking for, I think you have to buy it when you see it. You know, you can't go in, walk the room, look for the 4 or 5 cards you want, decide which one you want to buy, go back, and by the time you go back to buy the one you decide on, chances are it's going to be gone unless it's a very common card, you know.
Yeah, if you find the second one, just turn to the table next to you and sell something real quick and then buy that one. Like you got to carry something with you, and you definitely can't pass it up, because if there's deals there, people are going to find them and they're going to go. And I know that because I set up at a lot of shows, and I will put a couple of deals out on the table on purpose, and they go instantly. I mean, first 1 or 2 people at the table, they're going to find the stuff they want.
And rare card. Same thing with a rare card. You know, if there's a rare card you want, don't expect that it'll be there.
No.
There's going to be a ton of Carl Yastrzemski rookies in the room, but how many low serial numbered cards that of whomever that you need for your player collection, your set, whatever it is, even if it's just something shiny you really like. You know, you see something you want, you're going to have to buy it early. It's been the case a lot when I've been set up at shows where people come to the booth. They say, oh, okay, I'm gonna come back for that. I'm gonna see what else. I just got here. I got to do the circuit first. I got to do a lap. I'll come back. They come back. Where was that card? Oh man, it's sold. Sorry, And that was before the pandemic. That was before the rise of the hobby. So I think people need to kind of act when you see it. When you see a card you need, you kind of got to buy it these days. And of course, just try and get the best deal you can.
Yep.
All right, we've got a couple of comments coming in. Lots of stuff about the shows, but we've had one comment about who's buying top stock. Another comment here from Jason about let's talk about all the new grading companies coming in. Anybody want either of those topics you want to touch on, Drew?
Yeah,
or Chris?
absolutely. Let's talk some fly-by-night grading, Jason. I knew you'd want to talk about it. I mean, I'm assuming I don't even know the name. Oh, yes, I do. I remember it now because they ripped off Kobe's nickname. Black Mamba Grading. One of the new great. Yes, I see.
Is that
you
an
guys
actual
can.
name?
Yes.
Black Mamba.
Black Mamba Grading.
Dead serious. It is a real. I mean, there are all these new companies coming out. Black Mamba Grading, and then there's even some that are just doing raw card reviews and literally just assessing a card, sealing it, charging a premium. Like, I mean, I do card assessing, but it's like built into a grading price. Like, it's not, like a big service or anything like that, or guaranteeing. But you've got so many of these either encapsulation services or raw card reviews. I've seen multiple of those come up now. And I don't know. I think it's a joke, but I mean, a lot of people that are new in the hobby are getting these ads because I clicked on one, and my Facebook feed now is filled with sponsored ads talking about all of these different companies. That's the only reason I know about it, is because I clicked on Black Mamba because I thought it was a joke, and it wasn't. It was a real company. And there's literally about 20 or 30 now. Well, there's a lot of new people that I see people taking screenshots saying, hey, are these people legit? Well, thank God they asked the question, but how many people don't ask the question, And I mean, some of these companies actually have some very reputable people in the hobby backing them, and I don't understand it. I really don't understand it because it's blatantly obvious to me what it is.
Well, let me give you my short, maybe not so short, but my thoughts on this, guys. It doesn't matter to me who's backing you. I don't care how high profile of a backer you are. The only thing that matters to me within any grading company, including the incumbents, is who are the graders and what qualifications do they have that enable them to very importantly authenticate the card. First of all, the card needs to be authenticated and the grade needs to be assessed. So if I'm a new company and if I'm going to open up a new grading company, or if I'm going to consider a new grading company, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to flaunt a fancy slab or a fancy colorful label. I'm not going to talk about AI that I may or may not be using, and I'm going to talk about who the people are that are grading the cards, who are the graders, and what is their resume that enables them to be able to authenticate the cards and assess the grade. What is their experience? What have they done in the hobby? That's what I'm going to flaunt and I'm not starting a grading company, but if I was, I would be flexing what the experiences of the graders are, and how can you, my potential customer, trust that they can authenticate and grade my card accurately and consistently. It doesn't matter who's back in the business. That's irrelevant to me. I mean, it's important for longevity and that you can sustain and have some working capital. That's definitely important. But all I care about as a customer is who's grading these cards and why should I trust them to grade and authenticate. What do you guys think?
That I completely agree with you. And that's what all of these companies, if you look at it, they don't try and actually they don't try and convince you that they're grading superior. They just try and fancily word why you should encapsulate your card. You know what I mean? It's just they're beating around the actual why a grade is important and what grading truly is, just trying to grab your money real quick. I mean, that's all this stuff is. It's a complete total money grab. And it's, I mean, I understand seeing an opening and wanting to do something, but there's no experts involved in this, at least that they're flaunting or talking about any of these companies. There's no method to a process or anything. They just fancily word a couple of posts, put it out there, and apparently have gotten enough. I mean, some of these pages have a couple hundred followers and actually are getting business, and it's mind blowing to me. I just till the feds come knocking on their door. Yeah, I mean, hey, that could be happening. There's a lot.
Well, they're
there's
probably
a lot looking into grading right now.
If they're setting them up as legitimate businesses, the feds are. There's no reason to come knocking unless there is crime going on. I would think, but Chris, you wanted to jump in there?
Yeah, I just wanted, history tends to repeat itself, right? And during the first great grading boom in the hobby in the late 90s and early 2000s, there were also a number of fly-by-night grading companies that popped up and were gone within a few years. And you go to card shows and you still see these slabs from some of these companies. I remember ASA, Pro Grading, USA Grading, and there was a company about 20 years ago called GAI, and you still kind of see their slabs pop up. They were actually founded by a bunch of former PSA employees, but they didn't make it. So that may be a lesson for some of these new grading companies out there that are popping up now.
GAI,
you may be like CSG and poach a bunch of former BGS employees. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stick around.
Well, right.
The reason why PSA, SGC, and BGS have survived for 20, 25, 30 years is reputation.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to acquire overnight.
Well, so to me, it's important it's important to me that the graders are, like you said, the GAI guys are a bunch of old PSA guys. That's going to give me faith in their grading and authentication ability. Rex makes a good point. He says, what sort of resume can any of these new graders have? Well, they can't, but they can be trained by people with resumes. And that's the important thing, right? So I'm okay with PSA and Beckett hiring up, staffing up, and they've said on many platforms and shows that, of course, it takes time. They can't just hire people off the street and then all of a sudden they're churning out slabs. They need to take time to grade them and make sure they can do it. So I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is a brand new company and a couple of buddies putting a business together and saying, hey, we are now graders and authenticators. Who trained you? That's what it comes down to, right?
Yep.
Drew?
Do you even have any knowledge of how the hobby works?
Yes.
That's another thing too.
Exactly. Oh, that's very important because there are a lot of people that are.
Do you know the difference between, like, I don't know, a regular Topps Chrome card and a refractor?
Yeah. So to Rex's point again, where does it leave us? It leaves us at the point where people can be trained. They just need to be trained, and they need to be trained by experts and people with experience. So that doesn't concern me. It's just a time issue, and that's why PSA can hire 150 people, but those 150 people aren't going to be able to grade the day after they're hired, or even 2 weeks. It's going to take a couple months. Yeah, 6 months even, right? Which gives me confidence that they are making sure that they know what they're doing. If they do spend that much time.
And another thing too is that I think this is with BGS. I'm not sure if it's with PSA, but if you take a job with BGS, you can no longer buy or sell BGS graded cards. And for a lot of people that would make good graders, they're mostly dealers and collectors who buy and sell these cards. So if you're making a lot of money right now buying and selling graded cards, why would you give that up to take a job as a card grader.
Oh,
no
trust me, man.
Can't do that anymore.
That's one of the biggest issues that they have is that the pay is not.
You can't
the pay
just hire a bunch of
wonderful.
jabronis off the street and teach
The
them.
pay is not wonderful. The job is not. The job is insanely stressful, and like you said, a lot of people that would be good at this can make a lot more money in the same industry doing something else.
Yeah, Peeps makes a really good point that just popped up. I'll throw it on the screen here quick. It's of course, buy the card, not the grade. I think that's common sense now. But he goes on to say, you need to, as a hobbyist, and I know not everybody can because we all come in the hobby at a different point in time, and we take time. It takes time to get up to speed. But it's just so important now to get up to speed as quick as you can when you are purchasing a card. So really, what a lot of people will do is, let's say you're in the and I'll use the Wayne Gretzky rookie card as an example. Let's say you're in the market to purchase an O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky rookie card. When you go to a card show, if that's where you're going to buy it, find a common card from the set, take it with you so you can compare the card stock, the cut, all the surface, the different features of the card. Really, really smart point by Peeps to that just to remind us to get as educated as you can yourself, because how can we trust a lot of these what we're calling fly-by-night grading companies? And some of them will be fly-by-night.
Yes. They are what they are for now.
The cream will rise to the top, though, right? Some will. Some I won't say some will probably last, but perhaps some will last. Perhaps some will last.
Just not Black Mamba.
One commenter said, "Bring back SCD grading."
Jesus.
Yeah, bring back the white glove treatment.
Yeah. So, do you guys want to move along? We can talk about the top stock, the MUDS ticker. We can talk about the golden auction preview that just came out a couple days ago. That auction launches tomorrow. I was flipping through it. There's just shy of 3,000 lots there. Very Kobe heavy. Perhaps with the induction coming up soon. We have the NFL draft that just took place. Drew, Chris, what do you guys want to touch on first?
Well,
how about if we get a caller in and tell them, and have them ask us what they want to talk about?
Give us a call. I put the link in the chat. But I'm looking at the golden auction stuff. I mean, they've got some nice stuff in there. It is very Kobe heavy. I'm not that surprised at it, but it is pretty Kobe heavy. There's some nice stuff on there.
There's a bit of everything. They've got a Magic Johnson, Larry Bird rookie PSA 10. That's a pop 24. You don't see that very often.
No,
that's going to be great to see. You got the PMG red, both a Jordan and a Kobe Bryant. All sorts of Pele cards, all sorts of Jackie Robinsons, Mickey Mantles, of course. It's a beautiful auction.
And a T206. T206 is up. Yeah,
lot number one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I believe it's a PSA 2.
Yep. Yeah,
so
it is.
If the chat wants to let us know about what other topics that you want us to touch on first, otherwise, I think we're gonna have to take the bull by the horns here, guys, and jump into something ourselves.
Well, GT Black asks, how close do you think advanced technology is to resolving the problem of not enough graders? I'll touch on that for a minute. I mean, I think stuff like the PSA buyout of Geniment and companies like that, those little small processes, I don't think we should ever see it. And we kind of touched on this a little while ago when we talked about the whole AI aspect, but I don't think you ever see it go full AI. And I don't know if you'd necessarily want it to. The biggest problem is the card companies don't provide a perfect, the company is an example of what a perfect card is. So they're all judging everything is completely judged, subjective right off the bat, because there's no display of what an actual perfect card is. And so, I mean, any of these little bits and pieces that can knock off processing or can maybe help tell if the card has been pressed or if edges have been, if stuff has been altered right away, anything that can cut the process down and the time down. I think that's what's going to ultimately help. But it's also, people are just going to have to be patient and wait. And I think, I've adapted and changed my subbing philosophy of what I would send with the price increases. And I know a lot of other people have. And so, I think it is what it is. You know what it is now. Everybody does. You should not be surprised whatsoever. But I don't think it'll ever solve the problem of not enough graders. I don't think technology will do that much in grading. But
I think it'll. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
You go ahead, Jerry.
I was going to say, I think that with PSA acquiring the Genament technology, which, of course, I've seen what everyone else has seen, a bit of a display or a bit of a preview of what it does. The thing I like the most about it is the fingerprinting that it can do to tell each copy of a card apart. That to me is very important. It should reduce the amount of resubs, people looking for bumps on cards, that sort of thing. I think that's great. The other thing I think is that, if any company is poised to do it, it's going to be PSA, just with the way they're capitalized, with their leadership, the way that Nat Turner is a tech guy. I mean, he's not going to buy Genament unless he thinks it's going to help his new company. So
big time. I
have a lot of faith. Now, I'm with you, Drew. I don't think that technology is going to replace the human grader, but what I do like is that, and what I hope happens, is that they put the cards through the Genament process, and then a human kind of corroborates what the machine is saying. That way, the human only has to spend, you can look at a card, at a quick glance, maybe under a magnification, maybe there's a process there, and they just say, yep, check the box, the card goes off to slabbing. And then all sorts of automation that they can implement that move the card, like literally physically moves the card from the assessment to the slabbing, the label printing to shipping, to packaging and shipping. That's where robotics and automation helps. You're not going to see, Drew, we're on the same page. No machine is going to handle the whole process. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but it can certainly save a lot of time. So, and how close are we there to GT Black's comment? I mean, we're closer than we've ever been because PSA acquired Genament. And you have to think that Nat and the team at PSA, but specifically probably Nat, are going to help Genament become better than it already is.
Well, when I talked to the owner of Genament, and now he's a PSA executive on the show a couple of weeks ago, he was explaining this whole process and everything, and the idea is to build off of that. So, they're only his whole whole idea and job there is to build up that platform and expand its capabilities of what it can do and make it better. But what you said, nailed it. It's the processing. If they can get the processing of the cards, the actual movement of the cards, that's what the holdup is. It's not always that there's not enough people to grade them. It's the actual processing and the system that's set up. But like you said, you've got a company now, which is why we talked about it right when it happened. I loved the Nat buy, and I loved the people that was in the company with him that bought it, because they're all from the tech space. They all have handled companies with stuff like this, with revenue and amount of demand that they have now. And so I'm with you. I think PSA is the one that's probably going to do it. And I think stuff like this, Genament companies like this, I think these little pieces, which I thought was a brilliant move by Nat, was taking something that hadn't even come to the market yet, but was coming to the market, and finding a way to implement it into the grading process. I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I agree completely. Mastradamus puts a comment saying, what if you have a 9 with edges that can be cleaned up to make a gem? I mean, that's where the human element might come in, understanding what a card looked like out of the pack. So again, it's not going to be completely technology based. I don't believe it can be. And that's where the human experience and the human element, I think, needs to come into play. Peeps throws a question in there quickly. Have you had an issue with the really old slabs physical qualities changing over time? I haven't, just to throw it up there. I haven't had that issue with any of my slabs, but I keep my slabs out of the light. I pretty much all, they may sit on the desk for a couple of weeks here and there, go to a couple card shows and be in your showcase for a few hours a day. But in general, my slabs are in the dark. So I haven't had that issue before.
Yeah, I've seen cards that are even on display all the time that I haven't seen any issue with. And the one thing I have seen is some of the old refractors from like 96 to about 2000 before they really perfected that technology, which I guess we haven't seen how perfected it is because some of these aren't 20 years old yet. But you do see some of the hulking or the greening of some of those refractors, and that can happen even if the card's encased. But that's not the slab, that's the card. As far as a slab or a label, I don't know, but that's a great question, Racing Card Info. And will the new slabs after the AI be worth more than older ones? I think that kind of is going to fall on the individual buyer, personally.
I think it's going to depend on whether or not this becomes accepted by collectors.
Right.
So
I think it's a great question too, and I think that I do believe, again, coming back to the leadership at PSA, who I have a lot of faith in, the new leadership. I have a lot of faith in it. I think that they are going to be considering all these things, and I don't know that it's under their control, but to the extent that they can influence that, I think they're not gonna want to damage any of the historical slab values, or comparatively speaking. And again, if a human is the final determiner of a grade on a card, even in the future, the human was also the final determiner of a grade in the past. So to me, the fingerprinting is the most important thing. Not the most important thing. To me, the fingerprint is stable.
Are we losing Jared?
Is everything okay?
I think we kind of lost you there for about 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
You can rewind.
Sorry, I was just saying, I think that with the population reports are going to become more stable, because you're not going to see more resubs, more people looking for bumps, that kind of thing, and that's a good thing. So that shouldn't hurt the historical slabs. And if you heard what I was saying before, I think that with a human used to have the final say on a card grade, and in the future, I believe a human will still have the final say on a card grade. So the process changes, but I don't see why it would hurt older slab values. There's been a lot of talk about PSA bringing on a new grade, whether it's something similar to a black label BGS 10 or adding in a PSA 9.5. It's all speculation. Nobody knows for sure at this point in time, except for maybe Nat Turner.
Yeah, right.
So, we could go there too, as what does that do? But because we don't know if it's happening, we're just kind of waxing poetic at that point. I don't know if it's worth the time. We got about 20 minutes left. What do you guys think?
Oh, I mean, I hope they don't, personally, just because I think that if you want to talk about devaluing stuff, I think bringing in new grades is a wonderful way to devalue your old grading process. So that is something I would probably not do. And I don't think Nat would do that. I had not heard that. And that would be, to me, that's just something that I wouldn't do. But,
Well, yeah, Ken Golden, I had him on my show on, I think it was April 11th or something. And, we chatted for a while, and he alluded to it and so people thought that maybe he had some information, but I don't believe he did. And so it's a great question for Nat, of course. Yeah. And personally, I'm with you, Drew. I don't think they will do it, because I think that it will, if they were to bring in a PSA 10 pristine, or a PSA 11, let's call it, just for sake of discussion, what does that do to all the other PSA 10s? Well, it potentially hurts them, or it causes everybody to send their PSA 10s in for a potential bump.
Exactly.
Which people will call a cash grab. Yeah. But really, they don't need PSA does not need a cash grab. PSA has no issues with cash flow and revenue. So, they're already at max capacity. They're way past max capacity. So I don't know that they want to do. And bringing in the AI reduces the chance that people are going to send in cards for a regrade. So that's the opposite of a cash grab. So they may balance each other off, but
no, I mean, I think that's the best part is the stopping of the resubbing and everything. I mean, you can still get something from Beckett or from SGC or HG or any of these companies and crack those and send them, but you can only send them once, and we're no longer going to have like the Russell Wilson Contenders auto where there's 23 copies, but like 36 graded, you know. So
Exactly. Let's throw up the call-in information again. Here we go. Put that up there. If anyone wants to call in, throw in a topic, join the discussion, please do. It's always fun for us when somebody calls in and
hey, awesome, Logan, can't wait, man. Make sure to stop by Hobby Hotline if you're at the show on Saturday, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm super disappointed I'm not going to be able to be there at the Dallas show. We were going to have just about every Hobby Hotline host there, I think, except for Chris and I will be there. That's the May 22nd weekend, I believe.
Yep.
And so I know that at Rich Klein's booth, a lot of the guys will be hanging out. And I believe you're going to be doing a show live from the Hobby Hotline that weekend. We'll be live from the Dallas show. I'll be watching with envy that I can't be there physically, but really looking forward to that.
Yeah, guys, if you are going to be there, I'll go on and do it right now. But if you are going to be there at the show, please stop by when we do the live show. We'd love to have you guys on the show. Rich will probably just grab you and pull you on anyway. So, be prepared if you do walk up, but we'd love to have you guys on the show. And we'll be there all weekend. Rich is set up. I'll be there networking all weekend long. I know Dr. Beckett, John Newman, bunch of people, Brad, who's in the chat right now. I know a whole lot of people will be down there. So definitely stop by the booth. Rich, I'm sure, probably next week will be able to give an update on where exactly his booth is. But yeah, definitely hit us up. Looking forward to it, Logan. That's awesome, man.
Rich is going to be in all of his glory hosting everybody at his booth and having fun. All right, we have a call in right now. Let's just take the comment off. Let's bring in Brad, Texas card dude. Brad, what's going on?
What's up, man?
What's up, everybody? We're doing the garage sale, and it's kind of quiet, so I thought I'd hop on and say what's up. I'm actually watching. My wife and I are commenting, and we're aggravating Chris Harris off the fly, so it's all good stuff. And just wanted to say I'm glad that Drew's online, and I hope Jude hits a home run later.
Appreciate it, bud.
Good to see you, Brad. Good luck at the garage sale. I wonder if you're selling any awesome old baseball cards or anything like that.
No, but I am bobbleheads though, so
clearing out space. Right on. Nice. Thanks for good to see you, buddy. Good. Thanks for calling in on a day off.
Yeah.
So we had racing card info put up top stock. Why don't we touch on that a little bit? Because I know it's pretty exciting that we can now actually purchase shares of Tops, or what will eventually become Tops. I actually bought a few shares a couple of weeks ago of the Murdoch Capital Acquisition Corp, MUDS on the ticker. And I pulled it up just now. I think I got in for about $12.50 a share, and now I see it closed on Friday at $16.13.
$16.13.
Yeah, I got in at 10. I forget exactly. I think it was like 10.16 or 10.23. I got it. I bought it the second that I saw the announcement. I was like, yep, I know that the hobby, there's no way. There's too many people putting money into it. The stock is a guarantee in my eyes. I mean, especially when I look at everything else they've got going on that's going good. And I mean, I don't want to shift the focus away from it, but their NFT market soaring, their online digital sales Tops now hitting all-time records, Project 70 all-time records. I mean, anything they're doing right now, they're knocking it out of the park. So I expect that thing to go up and up and up.
Yeah, no, I was going to put it out to you guys, like, why are you buying it? And I think you just answered that, Drew. Chris, have you bought any?
I have not bought any.
So why haven't you bought? Let's ask that question. Why not? What's holding you back?
I don't know.
Just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Not really. I haven't gotten around to it.
So I bought a few shares again, just because I had a little bit of cash in one of my investment accounts. I thought, you know what?
Right.
I'm a hobbyist. I've been a hobbyist for 40 years. I believe in the hobby. I always have. Now it seems like a lot of people do too. A lot more people do too. And I thought, you know what? It's an opportunity where we can no longer buy Collector's Universe and get in at that level, which I think is obviously would have been another great investment. Nat Turner agrees. So I bought the shares for a couple of reasons. One, I want to have some skin in the game that way. I didn't put a lot of money in, but I thought, it gets you in, and then it also gets you access to their annual report. Hopefully a night, not that you can't read that publicly anyway, but I bought a share of Berkshire Hathaway B stock back in like 2003,
Right.
and since then, every year it just came this week. I get the Warren Buffett annual report. I read his letter to the shareholders every year, and it's kind of fun. It's just a nice thing to add, and in a way, as a collector, we're all collectors. I collect those annual reports. I have every single one going back to that first year, and I'm looking forward to as long as Topps or Murdoch Capital, whatever they end up calling the parent company, as long as they do end up putting out a hard copy with a nice cover, I'm going to collect those annual reports. I know it sounds silly, but at the same time, it's really just a freebie along with being able to ride the stock as well and have some skin in the hobby. So those were kind of my reasons for purchasing it.
Yeah.
And just with the way the hobby's going, I don't think it's a poor investment. I think it will pay off in the long run. Any thoughts on this, guys?
I completely agree. I think it's going to keep going up for quite some time. I think you're going to see a major bump, especially when you see it change over to TOPP when it does later on in the year, probably closer to like October, November. I like you said, the hobby, I think there's too many people now, especially in the hobby, that came from the stock industry, that came from hedge funds, that came from all of this. I just don't see this as something where it's going to fail like it did in the past. I don't think it's going to go. I'm not saying it's going to be Amazon or Tesla or Apple or something like that. But I think it, from something that was at $10 when it was initially announced, it's an incredible buy. I mean, I could see it easily go to 50, 60.
But Drew, you said you don't see it being the next Tesla or Apple or whatever. But let's look at it this way. You mentioned the NFTs, their online products.
Yeah,
NFTs are still in their infancy. It's basically a concept that the general public wasn't even aware of until 2021, believe it or not. And if that is going to be a technology that's going to become similar to the, as pervasive as the internet became, that or blockchain has become,
then maybe
blockchain isn't going anywhere. Maybe it is the next Tesla. But Tesla is kind of alone in its class, it seems.
Right.
Whereas how hard would it be for Panini to do this, or for Upper Deck, or for Leaf, or any of the companies to do something? But they're the only one that's publicly traded. So until other companies become traded, it is the only chance you have of getting in on it. Again, if this technology takes off, maybe it is the next. I don't want to say Tesla, because Tesla trades at 1,500 earnings, but I don't know. You know what? For $16 a share, you want to buy 100 shares. You get in for $1,600 right now. I mean, that's not that much of a risk. That's a Luca-based Prism.
I was about to say that's buying into like one Prism break. I mean, geez, like I mean, come on, you can get 20 shares for the price you can get the Timberwolves in a Prism box. So I mean, I'll take a shot every once in a while. Why not? But that's just me. But anyway, guys, I'm going to let Jeremy and Chris handle the rest of the show. I've got to go coach some baseball, so I will see you guys here in a couple of weeks. But enjoy the rest of the show and call in, give these guys a little something more to talk about.
Thank you, Drew. Yep. Great to see you, buddy.
Right. Thank you.
Take care, man. All right, Chris, it's you and me. So, there's a bit of conversation going on in the chat right now about what product drops y'all looking forward to. Of course,
I do want to go back to Topps. Is that now that they're going to be publicly traded again? Is that one thing that I looked forward to when they were publicly traded was their SEC filings, because you were able to take a peek behind the curtain, and we haven't been able to get that for the last 13, 14 years. So we may be able to figure out things like production runs for certain products. One other thing that they did publish, that they used to publish, was their licensing information. and we haven't had that in a while. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm with you. The licensing information will be very interesting. See how many years they have left on each property. That is very interesting. In terms of print runs, I mean, unless they're going to volunteer that, because it's not going to.
There are ways that you can calculate print runs now using the info on the back of the wrapper, but
yeah,
in terms of revenue and
there's a lot. Yeah. Well, under IFRS reporting, which is no longer a US GAAP reporting, I can tell you that it makes no sense. It does not reflect reality, unfortunately. And revenue, the way revenues are stated, is not based on cash flow. So it's going to be, it's going to be next to impossible, I would think, to be able to really parse out the top line revenue, even if they, in their segmented information, if they do have it, even by license. Well, now you've got all these products. It's going to be extremely difficult to figure out the print run on any single product. But like you said, Chris, I do agree. It does give you the ability to peek behind the curtains and see what's going on there. And I think that's going to be pretty awesome to just, not just the licensing, but a few other topics will come through and give us some more information there. So it will be interesting, and it will give us. It's really the only information from any company that we're going to get in terms of financial performance. And even I'm hoping their segmented reporting note will kind of pull the curtain back a little bit further. Even
I think this will probably be the closest that we can get to see how well the hobby as a whole is doing.
Yeah.
Judging by trading card revenue, whether it goes up or down each year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
For sure. The thing, back to them just becoming public again, what I'm not sure of, people have asked me, how do you feel about Topps going public? What do you think it means for the hobby? And my initial response is, because, I'm a hockey collector. Like, I collect all the sports, but I'm probably 60% hockey. And then I spread the rest between baseball, football, basketball, and a few other areas. But my initial response was, I'm just glad it's not Upper Deck that went public, because when you're public, now you're at the mercy of the shareholders.
Yeah.
And the shareholders only care about reporting, about financial reporting, your revenue, your net income. And it's all based on the share. They only care about the share price. Share price is based on revenues, and revenues are based on sales. So I don't know what it's going to do in terms of management's bias towards driving up revenues. What's that going to do to print runs?
Making more products, increasing print runs,
all those things. Now we are aware,
it's 1991 all over again.
None of the card companies print their own cards. It's all done by third-party vendors. Yeah. And that's why we're seeing some delays, is because the third-party printing vendors, and there's only a few of them, are backed up. They are running the presses 24/7. When someone says that Panini runs the presses on Prism 24/7, well, Panini doesn't run the presses, and that those vendors are also printing for Upper Deck and Topps and Leaf. And so it's I wonder where the hobby could use some more. It's kind of a double-edged sword, but the hobby could use more infrastructure in the printing sector, the actual manufacturing of the cards. That's where there's a lot of backlog going on right now.
Yeah. So the way I understand it is Cardamundi, they do Topps primarily, right? And then this other company that's across the highway from Rich Klein's office, I forget what it was named, they do primarily Panini and Upper Deck. And I think Cardamundi only has maybe one location in the United States, maybe a second, but
yeah, I'm not
mostly
sure,
in Texas.
I just know that they are the companies are
PC
looking.
Packaging is that other company, so
yeah,
X million Cubs.
They're looking to get their cards printed wherever they can right now. 1 million Cubs asked, did they segment out trading cards in their candy division before? Well, one
Yes.
thing I can tell you for sure is that accounting standards have completely changed since Topps was last public, and segmented information is required. I think that they will, if it's a unique division of a unique business and a division, that they will be segmenting it out. So we will likely see the confectionery versus the trading card. We might even see the trading card versus the NFT or the digital product as well. So will they combine, traditional sports card, i.e. packs and cases and boxes, from the on-demand products? Not sure. To me, that may not be a distinct and separate business unit, whereas the candy production certainly will be. So looking forward to it. But again, what they did before will not have any bearing on what they do now, because accounting standards have changed quite dramatically. So we'll see.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about? NFL draft?
I mean, we got a couple
Three
minutes
quarterbacks
left.
went 1, 2, 3 for the first time since the Tim Couch, McNabb, and Achilles Smith draft. I mean, football is a skilled position, rookie skill position driven hobby. So you got 3 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. Looks like Panini might have a good year this year. Yeah,
well, I unfortunately, Chris, I am not. Football is the sport that I follow the least.
I know.
I can't jump in too much. I apologize to the audience and to the chat that that's not something that I'm aware. I know Trevor Lawrence went number 1, and looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table. He seems like he could have a pretty solid brand behind him. So now, if the on-field skills match up with his brand, you could have a real winner there.
Now, there have been a lot of Trevor Lawrence cards that have come out before the draft, such as that box set that Topps came out with. I know Leaf revived the Pro Set brand just to make and the first card was an on-demand Lawrence card. Do you think these kinds of pre-draft cards are going to hold their value, though? Because I'm not so sure that they're going to.
I don't know, man. I mean,
card.
I do think that it depends. It's going to come down to what the card looks like. How nice is it? I think, because I'm with you, unlicensed cards sometimes don't present well because you've got blank jerseys, right? They have to airbrush out or Photoshop out the logo on the front of the jersey, which to me adds a lot of pizzazz to a card. It adds color, it adds design, and it identifies the team and the player. So it depends. Leaf did show some of the upcoming hockey cards they're going to do on the Pro Set brand. They showed them off on Facebook the other day. And what I really liked that they were doing was that the hockey players were kind of off to the side, kind of looking over their shoulder like this. So you couldn't, the front of the jersey there was nothing to not see, if you know what I mean. And I thought they were really well done. So when you're an unlicensed company and you're putting out an unlicensed product, photo selection is of paramount importance. And if you just throw a picture up and decide to airbrush out that logo, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself as a brand and a company, and to your customers. So, and the whole rookie card definition theory behind it, I mean, I don't know. I think it might be evolving a little bit. So, I think people are now looking to really buy what they like, what appeals to them, maybe not what the herd is doing. So perhaps they will maintain some value. It's about all I can think of. All right. Yeah. Well, we're past the hour mark. I'm going to quickly plug my shows tonight, everybody. This evening on Sports Cards Live at 10 o'clock Eastern, I have Andy Albert, who's the owner of the Indie Card Exchange, joining me on my early show. And then on the late show, I've actually starting at midnight Eastern, Brody the Kid, fellow Hobby Hotline guest host and host, will be joining me for my after hours show. So and he was just at the Indie Card Exchange in Indianapolis yesterday. So I'm excited to have Andy Albert, the proprietor. We're going to talk about everything to do with running an LCS in today's hobby climate, along with a bunch of other things. And then Brody and I will be talking hobby for about an hour or so afterwards. So hope to see you all there tonight. Chris, anything you want to plug away?
I don't have podcast to plug. I don't have any podcast appearances. I don't know, Jeremy, if you're really, really hard up for a guest, I can
call you up
if you're really that desperate. So, so someone in the chat wanted to see what jersey I'm wearing. Philadelphia Union, MLS. So,
all right.
Other than that, follow me on Twitter at stalegum, stalegum.com and baseballcardpedia.com.
All right, man. Awesome, Chris. All right. To the chat, everybody, thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. Always a great way to kick off the Saturday. Peeps, thanks. Good evening to you. We got Sanderson Thor. Yes, buddy, we'll see you tonight. Logan Ward, good evening to you, or good morning to you, everybody else. That is going to do it. We are going to sign off. Thanks for joining, and Hobby Hotline will be back next Saturday morning with a brand new panel of hosts. Have a great rest of the weekend, a great week ahead, and hobby on, everybody.